Good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of the Coal Scene. I'm joined here today with Roger Horton. Roger happens to be a 40-year veteran of the coal mining industry. That time has been pretty much equally split between working underground and working on surface mine operations. Roger's also been an official with District 17 and with his local union in some capacity for the biggest part of that time. And recently he has joined with a number of his colleagues within the industry to form an organization, Citizens for Coal, which has been an advocate for the mining industry. They've engaged in a lot of educational activities, and they've also combated some of the forces that have lined up against surface mining in this state. Roger, thanks so much for dropping by, and look forward to our discussion about some of the things that are currently going on within the industry.
I appreciate the opportunity to discuss it.
Why don't we start? Why don't you just generally maybe reflect over some of those 40 years that you've been in the industry? From I guess that dates back to early 70s to today. Some of the changes you've seen, some of the not so much current events, but just some of the evolution of the industry and mining practices over the past 40 years.
Well, when I started in the coal industry in 1974. There was a lot of elderly gentlemen that were working in the industry, and the industry itself was still primarily working with the types of machinery that were of the conventional nature. You had coal loaders, cutting machines, coal drills. They would shoot the coal and load it with buggies and load the buggies and track and wire, which is in some places still in existence. And it evolved to continuous miners, and the machines become larger, more powerful, more able to remove the coal from the seams. And gradually we began to move to surface mining, and that's where I'm currently working today. And 40 years doesn't seem like it's been that long, it really does. Just happening in the blink of an eye. Doesn't seem like it's been that long, it really does.
As we were talking earlier, I can relate to most of that because my career in coals has spanned about the same amount of time. And as we were talking, I can remember the beginning, and I know what I'm doing today. But there's a large part of that middle that really flew by.
Oh, it sure did, man. Just like yesterday, it just seems like yesterday I just started.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to fathom just how fast time does fly, and it really does.
Well, and I'm not sure we give enough credit or thank those miners like yourself that have devoted a career, some a lifetime, for providing our great state and our region and the entire nation with low cost, reliable base fuel and electricity.
Well, I've been proud to be, and still am so very proud to be so much a part of that. The American coal miner and the American coal industry has been of such vital importance, economic importance, and, to this state and to this country that story has not been told well enough, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
This country needs to be educated on a much more frequent basis about the importance of coal to not only the economic stability of this country, but to the importance of its national security. During the First and Second World War, coal miners relied upon to build the coal that they used was relied upon to build the tanks, the planes, the ships, everything we needed to win those world wars. And a large part of that same coal base and coal reserves being utilized today to build the tanks, planes, and machinery we need for our wars that we're fighting currently in Afghanistan and other parts of the world.
You bear it down, it's basically, the essentials here are, we as Americans, we enjoy all the liberties and all the freedom that we have, the independence, and our quality of life. because it has been provided through a means or by means of low-cost energy. You know, we've had great household and industrial energy at a low, affordable cost, primarily because of coal mining and coal miners.
That's true, and you know, the rest of the world is beginning to do just like we did. India, for instance, they're using coal today to power most all of their electrical needs. China's doing the same. They know that coal is reliable, they know that coal is affordable, and they can continue to use it to build their economies and provide a comfortable living for their citizens as well.
Citizens for Coal. Let's fast forward. Let's talk about some of the challenges, some of the current activities that are underway. You know, I think it's fair to say that while the industry's always had challenges, you know, never before have they been as serious or as threatening as what they are today.
That's absolutely true. And the reason for the founding of Citizens for Coal, some time ago, you remember we had the challenge to the permit at the Dialtex mine in Logan County, which ultimately resulted in the loss of some 400 union miners losing their job. And prior to that, when a challenge would arise, we'd rally, protest, do whatever we had to do to try to win. And we decided that that was no longer going to be the way we conducted ourselves. We were going to become proactive and do the very best that we could do to educate the public about the importance of coal to the economic stability of our county, our state, and to our nation, and that's primarily what we do.
I know we were also sitting here, not in this studio, but we were sitting, you and I, and we were observing about this time 4 years ago, where both presidential candidates had spoken in a negative way about surface mining in Appalachia, and we started the Mountaintop Mining Coalition to primarily to educate and make sure that a broader segment of our citizens within the state were aware of a lot of the current surface mining practices, not those of 20 years ago, which a lot of people had those perceptions, and also the kind of detail, the environmental quality, all the biological diversity that's created out there on these surface mining operations. Just a difference in, you know, what was done years ago versus the detail that's focused on today.
That's absolutely true, and for the edification of the public, we need to take a step back in time to the negotiating process of the Clean Air Act. You know, during those negotiations, there was a lot of discussion about the amount of sulfur dioxides being emitted into the atmosphere, primarily because a lot of the coal producers were selling a product that had sulfur in it that was being burned in the power plants without the utilization of scrubbers. The Clean Air Act negated that by allowing for compliance coal to be mined in the Appalachian Basin, southern West Virginia, for instance. We have large amounts of that coal, and it, in and of itself, led to the utilization of mining machines that could not only mine the reserves that had been depleted in the deep mining fashion, but also the thinner, smaller seams that were still viable that we could utilize without a loss of that reserve itself, and still continue to provide jobs for our people. And that's a very good thing that we've been able to do with the Mountaintop Mining Coalition, is educate people about the importance of how that process works.
Well, I know another one of the challenges we had, and you played a lead role, there was a lot of criticism over the way these sites looked and over some of the temporary impacts of the actual extractive process, and very little attention or focus was on the post mine land or the restoration that takes place.
That's so true.
And whenever you see a picture of surface mining, by someone who opposes mining and by the by the everyday media. They typically show that place where you have a lot of heavy equipment and you have some explosives being detonated to move the overburden, but they seldom ever show the post-mine land development or the state of that same piece of property that's restored 6 months, 18 months later. I know we've traveled places that was mined 10 years earlier, and you couldn't even tell it. You couldn't tell a place that was previously mined from an unmined area.
That is absolutely essential for the public to understand that it's much like a construction site. And I take great pride in the fact that I know that the people that I work with today are so well equipped and so good at restoring this land to whatever it was supposed to be put back, whether it was approximate residual contour or unless they had an alternative plan for the site, that they get better at it every single day. And there have been a lot of these properties that have been utilized for future economic purposes. You've got the FBI laboratory, we have an airport in Logan, we have a Twisted Gun golf course, and the list just goes on and on and on and on.
There's a brand new high school this year.
Brand new high school.
Added to the whole portfolio of post-mine land uses.
And the possibility still exists, and they're still working on the funding for a coal-to-liquid plant on one of those post-mine sites that will produce some 750,000 gallons of high-quality fuel oil every day for us to utilize in our economy. And that, in and of itself, is a significant achievement.
Well, and I know there's a couple of sites that where the National Guard and U.S. Defense have partnered, where there's an obstacle course for an MRAP operation, and there's some airdrop maneuvers.
That one is in Logan, West Virginia, by the way. That's the Regis Surface Mine, I do believe. And so they should have that done.
Pritchard Mining here in Kanawha County also has an obstacle course where they're training men and women from across the country that's going over to Afghanistan to operate these vehicles and realistic maneuvers and terrain like you find in Afghanistan.
If I had to say or pick from the most and say the most diligent over a period of time in restoration processes would be Pritchard Mining. Some of the areas that they have mined in, unless you're trained, you can tell not that it's ever been mined. They
Great stewards of the land.
Oh God, yes.
Some of the better, more proficient equipment operators.
Absolutely.
And mine managers.
And planners.
Just to move around here a little bit, I know that through the Mountaintop Mining Coalition, and particularly the Citizens for Coal, I know that you've sponsored rallies, you've just about every forum on mining or surface mining, you've been present, you've been visible, you've had very well thought through, prepared remarks to make, and you've been to Washington. You've been to Washington on a couple of occasions, participating in a number of very select meetings with elected officials, rallies in Washington, committee hearings and oversight meetings on surface mining.
Yes, sir.
So you've been real active and real involved. We're in a situation where we are experiencing some layoffs and cutbacks here in the industry, and I know it's been particularly hard felt in Logan and in your hometown.
Yeah. We visited Washington a number of times to rally in support of American coal jobs. The primary focus, if you'll look at the video now that's being portrayed, was to talk about what coal means to this country and to stand up to those in EPA who were wanting to implement new policies and standards that would make coal mining even more prohibitively costly, thus taking it out of the energy mix and causing people to lose their jobs, and we just thought we had to do that. And I think we've had some influence and had some beneficial impact.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. I think we're going to watch a video here, just a small clip, where people were interviewed around Logan and the surrounding area and expressing some of their concerns over some of the policies and some of the challenges facing the industry.
Well, the industry is extremely challenged today, unlike anything I've ever seen in my entire career of mining, Chris. It's just been phenomenal. Each and every day you wake up wondering, well, what obstacle do I have to overcome today? What challenge faces me today? I just don't know.
Loss of thousands of jobs in our area is having a domino effect on local business. So far this year, we've told you about nearly 2,000 job losses just in the coal industry. And as News Channel 3's Kathleen Moxley shows us, just about everyone pays the price.
This money he's spending with us here today was coal dollars.
Business owners like Stan Morgan can't put green in their cash registers until something black comes out of the ground, because when coal is sold,
That money trickles down and it ends up right here in Radio Shack.
but his business is down 16% from this time last year. He attributes the loss in revenue to the loss of mining jobs.
Without the mining jobs, we're going to be a ghost town.
Yeah, we'll be packing up and moving out of here, won't we?
This is normally one of our better times going into the fall, and it's been quite slow.
Tri-County Realty owner David Dean says his business is down 35 to 40% compared to last year.
That's the cornerstone of every community, is owning a home.
But that American dream is turning into a nightmare. Every time more layoffs are announced, more deals fall through the cracks, and the impact can be felt all around.
There's 8 or 9 jobs here in the county for every coal miner, and we're losing thousands of jobs.
Holding on to their money, they're not making any huge purchases right now. They don't know what's going to happen.
While customers hold on to their money, businesses hold on to hope.
Like most other folks, we'll weather the storm and come out on the other side and hopefully be better and stronger.
And get back to a time when the cash flow isn't so slow. Kathleen Moxley, WSAZ News Channel 3, Logan County.
Business owners we spoke with today say they're afraid the recent layoffs are only the beginning. They say that if more mining permits don't go through soon and create more jobs, the economy will just get worse.
Roger, watching that video, a number of things come to mind. First of all, we sort of have the perfect storm here underway in West Virginia. We've had a relatively mild period of weather, a real mild winter. We have a sluggish economy still coming out of our recession. And of course we got an abundance of natural gas from this Marcellus shale that's being tapped into. But we also have just this wet blanket of government regulations, impositions, and particularly this whole permitorium or a moratorium on new mining permits. I'm told there's over a universe of 1,000 mining permits that require some type of federal action before they can be, let loose and mining operations advancing towards the operation stage.
That's absolutely true, and the video depicts the reality of the current administration's permitorium effects. The miners today are having to mine allosequence, they're having to mine in ratio areas that are much, much higher, thus raising their cost, which in fact results in the loss of revenue, the ability to hire new people. The thought process is much more extreme as far as having to wonder if I'm going to continue to mine at this rate, I'm going to lay people off, and it's all about the economy. Coal is here. We can do it. We can mine it, but we got to have a permit. You got to move from one place to the other, and you can't do it if Washington won't let us.
You have the moratorium on new mining permits. You have the imposition of new unprecedented requirements that are only being applied here in Appalachia and West Virginia. And then you have this whole new array of requirements that are causing power plants and power generators to close down, which really exasperates all of these issues. I know you've taken these concerns to Washington with the Citizens of Coal here just a week or so ago, and I think we have a video that shows you know, some of that trip and visits. Why don't we look at that, then we'll come back and recap it as well.
Okay, we can do that.
Our message to them is the same as I explained, that the utility MAC rule is a bad rule. It's going to cost jobs. It is already costing jobs because of the uncertainty that's created within the coal industry now. And that we thank Senator Manchin for giving us his vote to disapprove of the utility MAC rules. And we ask Senator Rockefeller to please stand with Senator Manchin and vote against vote for SJR 37, which would effectively kill the utility MAC rules.
We had plenty of coal reserves, plenty of permits, but no place to sell the coal because they ain't using as much. The power plants is cutting back. Where the EPA is so strict on CO2 emissions and stuff, they're all cutting back, slowly switching to natural gas. That was a downfall of 70 men and their families' jobs.
He gets it. He understands that our state of West Virginia is very rich in natural resources, and we have the ability to utilize all those resources and employ thousands upon thousands of people in both the coal industry, natural gas industry, the timber industry, the farming industry, all associated industries that utilize cheap, abundable electricity and energy that we need so desperately to run our country. He's very much aware of that. He's been working in a bipartisan fashion with his Senate counterparts to bring about an energy solution, an energy bill, if you will, that we need for this country, which we currently don't have.
You know, the ordinary person don't realize how big this is. Most of them just see it's a mountaintop removal job. It's killing the earth. They don't look at the doctor's offices, the school systems that gets all the tax dollars out of it, the Walmart stores, Golden Corral, right where we're at right now, eating stuff like that in our community. Is if you ain't working, who's going to spend money there? No one.
We continue to fight. How we do it, we'll have to sit down and assess what we need to do. We will not stop. Our country, our state, and our people are too valuable to give up on them. We will not give up.
Where do you see Citizens for Coal going next? What's the agenda? What's on your plate there?
Well, as the movie depicted, you know, we know that we've got to continue to try to take on the EPA. We understand that they're not going to quit their anti-coal stand, and we're going to continue to fight them in every alley, every back room, wherever we have to go, we're going to do that. And at the same time, while we're fighting them, we'll still be continuing to educate the public in every way possible about coal's importance to this country. There's currently a real significant growing movement in this country, not just in our state, but in this country, that of people who are concerned about the direction the energy sector is moving in this country. And we're going to capitalize on that as best we possibly can for the educational aspects of it. That's what we're going to do.
Well, I mean, that's all well intended. I know that we've had some successes. We've had I think there's a growing number of people here within the state that have a much higher appreciation for coal and coal mining. You know, we have the coal severance program where all 55 counties participate and benefit from surface mining coal in Logan County, West Virginia. We only mine coal in 20-some counties, but yet all 55 receive coal severance dollars regularly to help those government programs and to help fund programs, educational programs, and programs for seniors.
For the benefit of the public, there's 26 counties in the state of West Virginia that produce coal. And you're exactly right. All 55 counties do benefit in the fact that they receive coal severance dollars. You take away the coal severance revenues, you'll be laying off firefighters, you'll be laying off policemen, relief efforts for a lot of people who don't have the ability or wherewithal to take care of themselves. You can't plan playgrounds, you can't plan swimming pool refurbishments, you can't do school improvements. There's a lot of good quality processes that will go away. And in this country, we have 23 states that have the ability to produce coal. And if that continues in all those states, well, it's just going to be negative for all of them as well. So we do have to continually educate the people about the importance of coal in this entire nation.
I know we use the phrase, and you're certainly a great example of this, Roger, but you know, we've been calling on our friends and colleagues within the industry to get more involved, even those of us that are involved in, you know, in the politics of the industry right now. You know, the situation calls for all of us to become even more involved. And there's a number of coal advocacy groups. Logan Coal Vendors, probably ought to mention them because,
absolutely,
because they've been around for 10, 12 years now and have been very active as supporters of ours and participants in these various forums.
You know, the Logan Coal Vendors has been around, as you said, for that length of time, if not longer. Mm-hmm. And they understand that for every coal job, there are 6 to 7 vendor possibilities of having employment, and they've gotten together and they've helped tremendously help us educate the public about the importance of coal. And if the average person would stop for a moment and think, am I doing enough or am I doing anything, they would probably realize, no, I'm not. And they need to become more involved in helping us save our country. Our country needs help, folks. That's the absolute truth.
Roger, we're just about out of time. Didn't mean to cut you off.
That's
we're
fine.
Just about out of time. Want to get you back here real soon and talk about some of the other things you're doing. But let me just say, on behalf of the mining industry in the state, a thank you because of the job you're doing and all that you have done here over the past couple of years. So on behalf of the state and the mine industry, thank you.
I appreciate that.
And allow me to thank you for tuning into our program today. I hope you found it to be educational. Thanks for joining us on the Library Network.